Now the smell of poverty and decay was the order of the day. It only took Josie a few minutes to reach the Fiddler's Elbow. It was one of many notorious public houses in the East End, and a frequent haunt of the dockside dollies. Most evenings she had to sing there from 7 o'clock until after midnight. Her father had come to an agreement with the landlord, George Mullen, some years ago, and had told her she should count herself lucky to have regular employment when she hadn't even left school. On the first night she had made the mistake of slipping outside into the pub's courtyard for a breath of fresh air, and had found several women obliging their customers. She'd scampered back inside, shocked to the core. It had been then she'd understood why the Fiddler's Elbow and some of the other pubs were called whore markets, but overall she didn't mind working there. George Mullen might be rough and ready, but he looked out for her and wouldn't tolerate any of his customers taking any liberties with her. Neither would his wife Ada, who was big and blousy and could put the fear of God into even the most awkward drunkard. When she pushed open the heavy, studded front door of the pub, the noise hit her. The enormous interior was dimly lit by flickering gas lights, and the smell of beer and smoke hung in the air. There was the normal crowd of folk inside, a good number of them sailors and dock workers, and the level of conversation was deafening. The only time the din died down was when she sang, and then the regulars would make sure she could be heard. She made her way through the tables and chairs towards the bar, where George and Ada, along with their 2 daughters, who were younger versions of their mother, were busy serving customers. The Fiddler's Elbow was a popular pub with the locals, and George and Ada turned a blind eye to the goings-on in the courtyard and other nefarious activities that took place in dark corners. If smuggled goods or drugs changed hands, it was nothing to do with them. They had a living to earn after all. A couple of the young local lads called out to Josie as she passed, but she just smiled in reply and kept walking. She had never had a beau, and wasn't in any hurry to acquire one, and the thought of marriage held no appeal whatsoever. From what she'd seen, it seemed that once a lass got wed, it meant having one bairn after another, as regular as clockwork, and living in fear of the rent man for the rest of your life, like her mam and everyone else she knew. It didn't appeal. Ada Mullen smiled at the girl she thought of as pretty as a picture. She had a soft spot for Josie. The lass was reliable and not mouthy like some of the types they got in the pub. Furthermore, she felt sorry for her having a father like Ralph Gray. As far as she knew, the man had never done a day's honest work, and would sell his own grandmother if the price was right. "There's a fresh pot of tea in the back," she said, as Josie reached her. "Go and have a cup before you start, lass, and warm yourself up. I've left a couple of tea cakes out in all, and a slab of butter." "Oh, thank you, Mrs. Mullen." Josie's mouth was already watering. She was always hungry. It was rare her brothers got a full week each at the docks. Often it was just 3 or 4 shifts, and even with what she brought in, money was always tight. Her mother could stretch a penny to 2, but with her 3 younger sisters to feed, besides the rest of them, and the rent to pay each week, they were forever robbing Peter to pay Paul. She had never spoken of what it was like at home to Mrs. Mullen, but she felt the publican's wife knew anyway. There were no secrets in the East End. Ada shook her head to herself as Josie disappeared into the corridor behind the bar. Poor little beggar, she thought for the umpteenth time. The lass was as thin as a lath, and always looked half-starved, but at least she could make sure the bairn filled her stomach when she was here of a night, which was something. She caught her husband's eye, and he, reading her mind, shook his head too before turning back to his customers. He knew his wife was fond of Josie, and she was a nice little lass after all, but the bairn was one of many such undernourished youngsters hereabouts. At least Josie was lucky inasmuch as she had something special that might set her apart in the future. Her voice was exceptional.